Is a constitutional crisis.
Close to a constitutional crisis.
Causing a constitutional crisis.
A constitutional crisis.
A constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. It means whole.
Constitutional crisis.
In a constitutional crisis.
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 We have a constitutional crisis.
As a constitutional crisis in this
constitutional crisis.
This is a constitutional crisis.
This is the most serious constitutional crisis.
This constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and I am your host. Let's rise and freedom. What's up, Bruce? Burt Whistle, Dad Bod Baboon. Sorry about the Canadian hockey team there, Bruce. Looked like it got pretty rough. Canada versus the USA. Why do Canadians hate us so much? I think Americans are just kind of starting to catch on to the amount of hatred that the average and ordinary, I said, Bruce. You're extraordinary, obviously. My little pineapple. All my little pineapples are super and extraordinary. But why is Canada so hateful at the United States? Is it because, well, we're going to make you the 51st state? Justin Trudeau is just like... Welcome to the Wake Up America show, guys. Click that like button. The media claimed to find no fraud in government. But remember, also, this is the same media that told us Biden is sharp as a tack. Nothing is amiss at the border. Remember, we were told Joe Biden's verbal slips were just a sign of normal aging, right? The rising crime. That was just a figment of our imagination. And the chaos at the border. This was all fabricated by the MAGA Republicans. Well, now the same tribunes of truth in the press, they proclaim that government fraud is a mirage. It's a pretext for Elon Musk and DOGE to bulldoze vital programs. Mr. Musk offered no evidence for his sweeping claims that officials had approved money for fraudsters, the New York Times reported on February the 11th. Who are you going to believe? Reporters at the New York Times or other reporters at the New York Times who said on Friday that a Nevada woman pleaded guilty to filing more than 1,200 tax returns to fraudulently claim COVID-19 tax credits of nearly $100 million. She used the money to gamble at casinos, take vacations, and buy luxury cars, and purchase designer clothing from Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, and Louis Vuitton. So, what do we... Well done, I guess. She's just getting her tax dollars back, guys. It's like Social Security. Yeah, so it's not happening, but if it is happening, here's why it's a good thing. That's how the legacy media, that's basically how the left works these days. That's their game plan, is to say, it's not happening, but if it is happening, okay, it is happening, and here's why it's a good thing. That's what it is. So the New York Times says, no, none of this is happening. But it is happening. Here's why it's a good thing. You know, she was just getting her stolen tax dollars back. Speaking of stolen tax dollars, if you guys are obsessed with me online, and I know so many of you are, you must have seen my testimony to abolish the income tax here in the state of Missouri. Came out on Friday. Sure you did. Well, guess what? If you haven't, you're going to get to see it at the end of the show today. So you probably already saw, if you watched some of the shows last week, the video of me sitting down innocently video recording during the hearing before I went and gave testimony. Senator Barbara Washington from Kansas City, Missouri, just started reading the riot act to one of her fellow senators who was there testifying in support of this resolution to abolish Missouri's income tax. So she starts tearing into this guy right in front of me. I'm like, ooh, this is some good stuff. Damn, okay. You know, and she doesn't know who I am or what side I'm on. Maybe it was just because I was, you know, not Native American looking, right? But apparently she was Native American. She said in the hearing, maybe there's an Elizabeth Warren moment going on over here. Anyways, all of the details, the lurid details, we will go into at the end of the show today. So if you didn't get to see my testimony to abolish Missouri's income tax. It's tearing up the internets right now. People are just shouting from the rooftops, Austin, Austin, Austin. No. But I can fantasize. A boy can dream, can't he? AP for Liberty, absolutely love the shirt today. What's up, Dad Bod? Yeah. I just want to put you guys in a good mood. I see in my closet, I've got the shirts that are the boring side of shirts, and then I have like my Wake Up America show shirts, and I'm just like, you know what, Austin, I'm gonna make everybody feel good today. I'm gonna have them look at your shirt and smile and laugh. Don't you wish you could wear a shirt like this today? Don't you, like, you know, wouldn't it be nice? On a beach in Hawaii. We're going to talk this morning about the Department of Government Efficiency sending their big, bald, super genius Zoomers into the IRS. I like it a lot. Have I received my summons yet, BB for Liberty? No, I have not, but I do have a bunch of lawyers, people contacting me saying I need to sue her, send her strongly worded letters and escalate the conflict. And, you know, I haven't decided what I want to do just yet when it comes to that. I think just right now, just let the waters cool. You know, you had your moment, you had your fun, right? You know, it's kind of like when you know what it is? It's people have a casino mentality about these kinds of things, and I'm always just more conservative. Like, I like to sit down at the casino. I like to play a little blackjack, but once I've made my $100, I take my $100 of winning, I leave the blackjack table, I go over to the buffet, and I pay for my wife and my mother-in-law's buffet with it. That's how I do. That's how I operate. How you make sure you're always a winner, right? You get what you need, you get what you came for, you got some winnings, walk away, because sooner or later, the table always takes your money, right? That's how that works. So we're going to talk this morning about the Department of Government Efficiency entering the IRS building, and oh my God, that means the legacy media is freaking out. The Washington Post, another lamestream media publication, says Musk's DOGE seeks access to personal taxpayer data, raising alarm at the IRS. Oh no, people that we elected might have access to our data. No. People who we actually choose, rather some unappointed, unelected, some hired lackey at these federal agencies, we might actually have some oversight over that? No,
God! No, God!
The unusual request, writes the Washington Post, could put sensitive data about millions of American taxpayers in the hands of Trump political appointees. No!
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm. Stay calm. Johnny Rankin says, hey, the bill passed. That's good to hear, because I've heard Mike Kehoe would sign it. Oh my God, can you imagine how amazing it would be to have Missouri and have no income tax in the state of Missouri? I just can't wait to dunk on Texas, right? Just like Team America was beating the crap out of the Canadians over the weekend, just Missourians and Texans, because Texas is always so, oh, we're the conservative state. Oh, we're the red state. I mean, Texas wishes it was as conservative, as red, as libertarian as Missouri. Missouri is what Texas claims to be. Missouri actually is. And if we abolish the income tax, baby girl, tell you what, man, I'm going to have like 10 more kids here in the state of Missouri. What do you say? You want 10 more little babies? 10 more little Peterson babies. What say you? 1 little, 2 little, 3 little babies, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little babies, 7 little, 8 little, 9 little redheads, 10 little redhead girls. Can you imagine if I had like just an army of 10 redheaded females? The world would owe me big time. I bring to you these beautiful redheaded libertarian girls. Don't forget to, guys, you got to click that like button to help support the show. The Wake Up America show relies on the support of good people just like yourself. You know, where do you think that the fun shirts come from? Cheap factories in China that I import over here in defiance of the populist sentiment of the time? No. I mean, to make sure I got my products all set up there. Yes, that is the box of Founding Flavors coffee that you see sitting behind me, the famous one from the hearing. And I was contacted by a member of the Republican Party who is a sitting legislator here in Missouri, and she has asked for that coffee specifically and that tea. So these right now are going to be auctioned off to a good cause here to help raise money to continue the fight to abolish the income tax. That was the box of coffee they had in the hearing. They told me to, like, yeah, put away that filthy sign of commerce. This is your government. We don't care about where your tax dollars actually come from or how you earn it. Don't you dare speak about Benjamin Franklin in our hallowed sacred halls of Barack Obama and our amazingness of lefty Democrat policies, our temple of government. No, don't you, no. How dare you? Yes, in the testimony that I gave, I brought out my Founding Flavors coffee. Stephanie's like, God, you're so brave. Yeah, so that box of coffee gets auctioned off to a good cause here in the state of Missouri, and I'm going to give it to that lovely lady so that she can do that. But if you guys want to support the Wake Up America show, you can get a box just like that at 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com. Frickety says, yeah, you're trying to make a point about being a business owner and the lady wouldn't listen. Yeah, exactly. Where does he get those wonderful shirts? Entropy Nomad. What's up, guys? We're at 99 viewers, almost at 100. Green Pollock just joined us here. Became a real libertarian. Welcome to the Wake Up America show, Green Pollock. We hope that you enjoy the show today. We've got a great guest at 8 a.m. Central Time. We're going to speak to John Miltimore. It's Mondays with Miltimore at 8 a.m. Central Time. We're going to talk to him about what Elon Musk is doing with DOGE. Did you see J.D. Vance's speech in Germany about free speech? It's so deeply concerning what's happening in Europe. On one hand, it's frightening, and I'm riveted, and I can't look away at cops arresting people over memes, things that if you think that I get threatened by showing up to actual hearings at the Capitol and annoying our legislators with my freedom, imagine if someone like me lived in Germany. I kid you not. I had someone contact me and say that they wanted to run a podcast for the For Liberty Network. I don't think I've talked to you guys about this, but I'm actively behind the scenes trying to recruit new shows and bring in new shows in the For Liberty Network. And I was contacted by a wonderful guy from the UK, been a follower of mine for quite some time, and he was interested in potentially doing a podcast on the For Liberty Network. And I actually, after a good long conversation, I had to turn him down. And the reason being is because, and I felt this too when I was getting threatened, is that he's terrified of his government. He lives in the UK, and the types of subjects that I would want him to cover, the topics that I would want him to cover, the free speech issues, and I think the things that really matter that are happening in Europe right now, the big policies, he wouldn't be able to discuss. And I just said, listen, I like you guys. I'm glad we're on the same page, and I appreciate that you've been a follower of mine for years. But I can't add a podcast to the For Liberty Network that doesn't focus and fight for liberty. So just, guys, imagine how lucky we are if you live in the United States. I mean, we feel bad for Bruce Birtwistle, who lives in Canada. It's bad enough there. But they wanted the left, if they had won the election, if Kamala Harris had won the election, the left would have done here in the United States what they're doing in Canada and what they're doing in Europe. Canada, it's softer because of their proximity to us, but it's very similar to what's happening in the UK and in Germany. I've got video of a raid that went down in Germany to raid someone over memes, over political speech that is clearly protected free speech. It's the kind of thing that gives you chills. It's like the Stasi, the East German secret police, right? The NKVD are back online. It's terrifying stuff. I've got the video, plus European leaders crying over J.D. Vance's speech, telling them that they need to have free speech. I mean, what is Europe for anymore? I mean, it birthed us, but does it contribute to Western civilization? Can we even call Europe the West anymore? I just feel like Europe is gone. Good morning, Euphoric. Good morning, Pineapples. Looking very good.
Good morning, Pineapple.
And very nice.
Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, Pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
By the way, I had to explain to Stephanie just like last week what upside down pineapples on the door of like a cruise ship means. She had no idea. She's like, really? She's so sweet, so naive. I love her. Like, good morning, pineapples. Waldo, where's he at? Where's Waldo? Nice to see you. Nelson65, welcome to the show. We miss seeing you in the mornings, bud, but I do not miss get my butt up early in this freezing cold. It's freezing out here in the Midwest. I guess the whole country is about to get hit with frigid temperatures, so make sure you bundle up if you got to go outside. But it's cold outside, but it's hot in here. I got the space heater going. I've got my fun little 1980s shirt, and we're talking about cutting government, sweetheart. The Washington Post and all Washington, D.C. are freaking out. Did you see the property listings in Washington, D.C.? Yeah, all of these homes, these expensive homes in the Washington, D.C. market are suddenly coming online. What do you think this is going to do to the real estate prices here in this country? Once all these bureaucrats get out of Washington, D.C., they got to move out in the states and they have to find real jobs. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. Elon Musk's U.S. DOGE service is seeking access to a heavily guarded internal revenue service system that includes detailed financial information about every taxpayer, business, and nonprofit in the country. Under pressure from the White House, the IRS is considering a memorandum of understanding that would give officials from DOGE broad access to tax agency systems, property, and data sets. Among them is the Integrated Data Retrieval System, the Integrated IDRS, which enables tax agency employees to access IRS accounts, including personal information numbers and bank information. It also lets them enter and adjust transaction data and automatically generate notices, collection documents, and other records. Go get them, DOGE. Get them, boys. They do that for you. They're doing that for you. I've got a somewhere up over here on my scene. Oh, here we go. They've already gained access to the Social Security database, and the drops are coming fast and furious. Here's Elon Musk posting this 8 hours ago. According to the Social Security database, these are the numbers of people in age bucket with the death field set to false. In other words, they're not dead. He says maybe Twilight is real and there are a lot of vampires collecting Social Security. Look at this. Okay, so number of people collecting Social Security between 90 and 99 years old, 6 million people. Are there 6 million 90 to 99-year-olds in this country? 100 to 109-year-olds, 4.7 million. 110 to 119, 3.6 million collections, right? They're not dead. Okay, 120 to 129. Wow, we're getting up there. Here we go, all the way. Methuselah, 190 to 199-year-old people, 448. What is going on?
God!
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Damn right it does. Elon says the logic flow diagram for the Social Security system looks insane. No one person actually knows how it works. The payment files that move between Social Security and the Treasury have significant inconsistencies that are not reconciled. His friend of mine described it. This is like an amazing puzzle, uncovering the secrets of an ancient civilization that went extinct, except it's still around. Thank you, Elon. Everybody say it with me. Thank you, Elon. In other good news, President Trump and Secretary Burgum, if we're feeling the Burgumentum, announced the 625 million acres that Biden banned from further offshore oil and gas leases in his final days are now back on the balance sheet.
The executive order by President Biden that wiped out these trillions from our balance sheet, President Trump signed an executive order instructing me as the Secretary of Interior to unban that ban, and that's been accomplished. And so those are back on the U.S. balance sheet.
Okay.
Sorry, which one is that? The 625 million acres of offshore that was banned from further lease sales.
Further anything.
And 625 million acres is right. 1/3 the size of the lower 48 that was taken off our balance sheet. It's back on there now. President Trump cares about the American people. He knows that these public lands belong to the public. They don't belong to Washington bureaucrats from the prior administration. And we're going to make sure that we get a return on investment for the American people.
The amount of money that he took off our balance sheet, if you look at a balance sheet, it was incalculable. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And he did that, I guess, in the last few days of the administration. He just wiped it out. 635 million acres, which if you sit down and look, it's like that's a major part of the ocean. And he just gave it away and took it away. And fortunately, It wasn't done with an act of Congress or anything, and we did it in a, I think, very abbreviated, very quick, and very legal procedure. And it's now back on our balance sheet. It's back as part of our country. What they did was so horrible. It was.
Thank you, Mr. President. Looking very good and very nice. Look at what bullet we dodged here. Oh my goodness.
You know, I don't get out much these days. And then, you know, but spirit's tired, but it cannot be defeated. Never let anybody defeat that. Because then what do we have left? When we think about like these moments where we see things that are being taken, but also let's see it as a, you know, nature abhors a vacuum. So where there's a vacancy, then let's fill it. Right? Let's know that
what is she saying? She makes no sense. Oh, it's a constitutional crisis. This week in MAGA Minute, Carolyn Leavitt, the press secretary, has started doing updates, weekly updates, coming out on Friday, that they call a MAGA Minute, talking about all the accomplishments from the last week. Take a listen. Or don't, because you went to the wrong scene, AP. Come on, get your shit together.
Things have never been busier here at the White House. President Trump delivered on many more of his promises to you, the American people. Let's roll through this historic week in today's MAGA Minute. This week, President Trump became the first sitting president to ever attend a Super Bowl, declared February 9th Gulf of America Day.
Pause. We be shilling them. Speaking of Gulf of America collection, these things are selling like crazy. First, I have the Javier Milei news. We're selling Javier Milei sneakers. It's going internationally viral. I kid you not, guys. I got a lot of angry Mexicans because of my Gulf of America merch. I was wondering where all this traffic was coming. From my Mexico, I was like, why is there so many angry Mexicans sending me hateful, chinga tu te madre, things like that? I don't know. I don't speak Mexican, but they're speaking Mexican and angry words at me, and I found out it was because of a Gulf of America meme. So take your stupid flags and go back to your third world country if you don't like it here. Even Barack Obama wrote in his book that he felt an angst, an enmity towards people who come to the United States and then fly a foreign flag in our face, as if we should have to tolerate other nations invading our country and then saying, oh, and by the way, we're doing this deliberately. Oh, and here's a foreign flag and there's nothing you could do about it. Yeah, there is. Deport. If you like Mexico so much, go back to Mexico. I'm an American nationalist. I'm a libertarian nationalist, but I am a nationalist, and I'm for America first. Just so happens. And if you are too, then you want to be like me and sport your Gulf of America merch. Do you know Camellia didn't even know that I was, in my testimony to abolish the IRS last week, she didn't even know that my Gulf of America thing. Why do you think that senator was probably so angry with me? I had my Gulf of America sippy cup. Sorry, I'm living in the world of sippy cups now that I got a little baby girl. But the Gulf of America shark tumblers are beautiful. You can get them at forlibertyshop.com. Austin, why does it cost so much? Why? It's because the shipping's included, guys, and we get excellent customer service, and it's super high quality. That's why it costs that. But I think it's a great deal, actually, because when you get it, you're going to use it for years. It's beautiful. But when people see this sitting on your desk, everybody at the office is, you're going to know who your friends are. You're going to get the stink eye from that one lady, who used to work at HR and used to do DEI at HR until your corporation, whatever corporation you worked for, phased it out. Now she's super sour and surly about it. And you got your Gulf of America just sitting there on the desk and you're just casually sipping it. Maybe a little bit of lemon. Maybe just go ahead and make some iced coffee from Founding Flavors or from our For Liberty collection. Gulf of America shark tumblers at forlibertyshop.com. All right, Austin, stop breaking in on the beautiful blonde.
Attend a Super Bowl, declared February 9th Gulf of America Day. signed an executive order rolling back Biden's push to phase out plastic straws, secured the release of Pennsylvania teacher and great American Mark Fogel from Russian captivity, bringing the total number of hostages released to 11 since he took office just 4 weeks ago. He implemented a 25% global tariff on steel and aluminum imports to protect our steel and aluminum industries from unfair foreign competition. He introduced the Fair and Reciprocal Tariff Plan to counter unfair trade practices by our foreign trading partners. He established the Make America Healthy Again Commission to fight chronic disease, ended COVID vaccine mandates in schools, and established the National Energy Dominance Council. We are going to drill, baby, drill.
Yeah.
See you for next week's MAGA Minute.
I'm so
Things
happy.
have never...
I'm so happy. So many wonderful things happening around the world, and the Democrats even have to admit it.
Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around. Let me ask you, a recent poll by Marquette looked at several of the things that he has done or says that he is going to do, and 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes, 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally, 60% favor expanding oil and gas production, 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border. Is there anything you are seeing that Trump is doing that you are in favor of, that you think is the right thing?
Let me say, as it relates to all of those issues, we're just at the beginning.
We're just at the beginning. Donald Trump's favorability rating higher than it ever was during the first time around.
Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around. Let me ask you, a recent poll by Marquette looked at several of the things that he has done or says that he is going to do, and 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes, 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally, 60% favor expanding oil and gas production, 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border. Is there anything you are seeing that Trump is doing that you are in favor of, that you think is the right thing?
Let me say.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Did you guys see the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary? My dad was really hyped up on it, but I just kind of figure it's like every other Saturday Night Live where it's terrible. But I didn't watch it, but I noticed a sincere lack of Norm Macdonald. So Saturday Night Live without Norm Macdonald to me is just not Saturday Night Live. But I do have one of Norm Macdonald's famous speeches when he hosted Saturday Night Live. This was a year and a half after he got fired. I think it was in 1999 when they fired him in 1998. Then a year and a half later, they invited him back to be the host. Norm was always my favorite. I remember watching Norm Macdonald in the 1990s when he was shredding O.J. Simpson and shredding Hillary Clinton, and those were the best days. So I've got Norm Macdonald's speech at the end of the show. I'll play it if we have time after my testimony breakdown, and you guys don't want to miss that because it's, I think, his most epic speech perhaps ever. Norm Macdonald was always my favorite SNL actor, and I loved his movies, and I loved his stand-up. I just loved everything about him, and comes to find out later in life that he's really kind of conservative, which I thought was very interesting. But we'll play that clip for you at the end of the show today if we have time. We've still got a guest to go at 8 o'clock this morning. We're going to speak to John Miltimore from the American Institute of Economic Research about what's happening with DOGE and the IRS, the fraud, waste, and abuse that is being found that the legacy media is just refusing to see. And so it's going to be a great show. You don't want to miss it, guys. Make sure you're setting appointments, because I know people are busy in the mornings. You're getting ready for, your kids ready for school, or maybe it's a snow day today or it's too cold, so you're getting ready to take them outside and go play or something. And I know you have busy lives and family, and that I am a fixture perhaps in your home, but I might be a fixture in the background of your home, right? You're not listening, hanging on every word, which, obviously I would love. But I understand the realities of modern life. I'm a father too, so I get it. So if you are super busy in the mornings, make sure that you set appointments to come back and listen to the parts which you really want to hear. Things like John Miltimore's interview at 8 a.m., or maybe you missed my testimony to abolish the IRS here in Missouri. That's going to be at around 8:30. And at the end of the show, if you want to hear the Norm Macdonald's most epic speech, then make sure you come back like towards the end of the show, and hopefully we'll have time to get to that, right? I try and live up to my expectations as much as possible. Do me a favor, guys. Click that like button and subscribe to the channel by clicking follow if today's your first time watching the show. I see you guys are having fun with the Rumblebot cat girl over there in the chat. Hope you guys enjoy. If you guys want to support the show, then clicking the like button is a free way to do it. You can also send me a text if you'd like to chat at 573-319-1586. Again, the text lines are open, and people text me on the weekends. They text me in the evenings. You can text me while we're live. That's great. But I also love to hear from you guys as well anytime, because sometimes people are listening to the audio version later, and I'd like to give you guys a big shout out. You know who you are. It's like 100 people a day. And I'm grateful to have that audience as well who listens to us later, because they're super busy at this time, and I totally get it. President Trump mocked the fake news media for trying to drive him and Elon Musk apart.
The media and the punditry class, not that, I think you've proven they have no power anymore, because they threw everything they had at you, and they didn't win. And that was, the New York Times, Washington Post, 3 networks, every late night comedy show, 2 cable channels. They threw everything, lawfare, weaponization. Sure. And now I see they want you two to start, they want a divorce. They want you two to start hating each other. And they try, President Elon Musk, for example. You do know that they're doing that to you.
Oh, I see it all the time. They tried it, then they stopped. That wasn't. They have many different things of hatred. Actually, Elon called me. He said, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely. No, they said, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon Musk. President Musk will be attending a cabinet meeting tonight at 8 o'clock. And I say, It's just so obvious. They're so bad at it. I used to think they were good at it. They're actually bad at it, because if they were good at it, I'd never be president. Because I think nobody in history has ever gotten more bad publicity than me. I could do the greatest things. I get 98% bad publicity. I could do, outside of you and a few of your very good friends, it's like the craziest thing. But you know what I have learned, Elon? The people are smart. They get it.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They get it. They really see what's happening.
I get it. I get it. Do you get it? I get it. Listen, I totally get it. All right, guys, I'm going to take a real quick break. Yes, the Rumblebot is sanctioned by the show. It may be gay, but it is funny. I think it's funny. I think it's fun. I've got like 5 different chatbots. Do you guys want me to take the cat girl off and make it Donald Trump again? Or we could do Darth Vader. We've got Darth Vader, Giga Chad, Donald Trump, and Cat Girl right now, I think, are the personalities that we have of the Rumblebot over there. She's there to remind you today to visit forlibertyshop.com. While I go to a quick break to go pee for Liberty, don't go away, guys. When we get back, we got more DOGE versus the IRS, DOGE versus the Social Security Administration, DOGE versus the government, DOGE versus this, DOGE versus that. DOGE, you want to see what I've got over at forlibertyshop.com? Go shopping, and I'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
First thing we have to do, and I mean the first, is to cut inessential government spending. I've been president 4 weeks. And I've been president 4 weeks, and I've found things that I wouldn't have believed. The White House, when I became president, was running on Jimmy Carter's telephone system and Lyndon Johnson's switchboard. In this high technology era, with a procurement system that would have broken Einstein's brain.
The most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, whoa, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire. Doesn't that sound crazy?
Yes. Good morning. My little pineapples, rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Elon Musk's war against waste, fraud, and abuse seems to be going swimmingly. I even saw that a judge announced that they could no longer block the Trump administration from gaining access to Treasury payments. Another big win. But every day I wake up and it's another win. We're glad to have you here. Click the like button if you haven't already. And we'd love to earn your view and your vote by clicking the follow button at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. You will get a notification whenever we go live, which is every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's the Wake Up America show. Let's talk a little bit about free speech before John Miltimore gets here. J.D. Vance went and spoke to a conference for NATO and European leaders talking about free speech. And the Germans didn't like that very much. Those silly Germans.
And expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor, if American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk. But what German democracy, what no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered. In expressing opinion.
Now, this opinion was considered controversial, and it was so controversial. Listen to how this German official reacted to J.D. Vance's speech. He's crying.
After the speech of Vice President Vance on Friday, we have to fear that our common value base is not that common anymore.
Oh,
I'm very grateful to all those European politicians that spoke out and reaffirmed the values and principles that they are defending. No one did this better than President Zelensky. Let me conclude, and this becomes difficult.
Ugh. Oh, God, it's hard to look at such weakness in men. It's hard to see such weakness, but they're complaining. They're saying that perhaps American... All right, guys, calm down. Yeah, it's terrible. But they're saying, that American and European values are no longer in sync. You think? Maybe it's because of this. This is 60 Minutes going on a raid with cops to raid people over their free speech online. Watch that voice coming to your door. When somebody comes to your door and starts knocking you, man, it's like, get the car 98, Klaus. Somebody grab the MG44. MG34? The STG44? Get whatever guns you have, guys. They're coming for us. They're coming for Anne Frank. She's in the closet.
Officers searched a suspect's home, then seized his laptop.
You have Jews hiding under the floorboards, don't you? You have memes hiding under the floorboard, don't you, Hans? You're harboring memes that are enemies of the state. Are you seeing this? Are you hearing this? Tommy, can you hear me? Can you feel me near you? Is X even allowed in Germany? I mean, everything on X is gossip, lies, slander, fake quotes, violent jail for reposting fake Thomas Jefferson quotes. In matters of style, swim with the current. In matters of principles, stand like a rock. No, we're going to jail. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. This is real. This is happening. These are Western nations. I should use Western in air quotes. Hold on. Let me get an angle on the cameras where you guys can see it. Western. Oh my God. Ask yourself this. How many times over do you think you've committed crimes in Germany? I mean, this is real. This is real. You know, people talk about defending Ukraine. People are like, oh, we need to get involved in Europe. Fuck that. Europe needs to step up and take care of their own shit. We are done with Europe, okay? We were done. Europe became outdated in 1776. We no longer need Europe. We need Asia more than we need Europe. We need Japan more than we need Europe. We need Mexico more than we need Europe. Sadly, we need Canada more than we need Europe. But we need to get our interests the hell out of Europe. Boo, Europe. and to some extent boo Canada. I've got John Miltimore coming up live in less than 10 minutes. J.D. Vance commenting on September 11th of 2024 said this. Hold on one sec. This is... There we go.
The leader, I forget exactly which official it was within the European Union, but sent Elon this threatening letter that basically said, we're going to arrest you if you platform Donald Trump, who, by the way, is the likely next president of the United States. So what America should be saying is, oh, if NATO wants us to continue supporting them, and NATO wants us to continue to be a good participant in this military alliance, why don't you respect American values and respect free speech? Excuse me, it's insane that we would support a military alliance if that military alliance isn't going to be pro-free speech. I think we can do both, but we've got to say American power comes with certain strings attached. One of those is respect free speech, especially in our European allies. Like, look, I'm not going to go to some backwoods country and tell them how to live their lives, but European countries should theoretically share American values, especially about some very basic things like free speech. The leader...
God, I'm really liking J.D. Vance, man. This was interesting. Maria Therese Kaiser was charged and fined 6,000 euros for posting a fact about immigrant statistics and crime rates. Germany has no free speech. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm glad to have you here, guys. If you guys are just tuning in today for the right now, make sure you click that like button. And if you haven't clicked the follow button because you're new here, I know we got a lot of lurkers who are hanging out in the back, and maybe they've never commented. I wish you would, of course. But if you'd like to just talk to me directly, you can send us a text at 573-319-1586. Somebody sent me, actually just a few minutes ago, a speech that Pierre Poilievre in Canada gave last night. It looks like it's about an hour and 35 minutes, so I will check that out later. Thank you for sending that, whoever did. You can send me a text too. 573-319-1586 is that text line. And again, you can text me anytime, night or day. Let me know what's on your mind, what's not on your mind, guests that you think I should have, guests you think I shouldn't have. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. These are the feds. 60 Minutes also sat down with the feds who are losing their jobs. I feel dirty watching this. I'm going to show my O face. Oh. Oh my God, I'm going to be late. I got to go get John Miltimore. Guys, don't go away, all right? We got lots more fun to go. You want to be in a good mood today? Are you entertained? Are you not entertained? Support the Wake Up America show, guys. Drop some Rumble rants down below or go to forlibertyshop.com. Get yourself some coffee, tea, or me. It's the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Well, can we defeat entropy? Good morning, pineapples. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Elon Musk sent his Zoomer super geniuses with their Zoomer perms into the IRS building. Big balls have entered the building, and, well, I couldn't be happier. I'm thrilled. The Department of Government Efficiency is rumored to be preparing thousands, yes, you heard it here, thousands of layoffs on IRS employees. I told that to Steffi the other day because I was just so thrilled. I'm like preparing to cry like that German official who was crying over J.D. Vance's speech, right? Except I was like crying because of the bald eagle soaring over the Gulf of America. But no, I'm crying because I tell Steffi, thousands of IRS employees about to get laid off. She says, is that going to delay our tax refund? And I was like, Stephanie, I don't think we're going to get a refund. We make too much money. Joining us live right now is a man who knows a thing or two about money. He's a Liberty Republican like myself. Or I don't think he calls himself one. Maybe small R Republican. From the American Institute of Economic Research, John Miltimore joining us live here on the show. It's Mondays with Miltimore. We love it. A good malted Miltimore. How you doing, John?
Morning, AP. How you doing today?
I'm in such a good mood, man. Every day I wake up is good news. It's like I'm so used to everything being terrible, 95% of the news being bad, that when like 60% of the news is good and 40% is bad, I don't know. I feel like America's back. I don't know. I feel good.
I love seeing you this cheery on a Monday morning, too. It makes me happier.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that because, I mean, when you hear about what the Department of Government Efficiency is doing writ large, it's one thing. But to hear that they're entering the IRS and there are these rumors of mass layoffs, Miltimore, it's like we're living in some kind of weird libertarian fantasy land. It's amazing.
When you see this, you realize for the first time in my lifetime, I'm watching this, they're actually serious about cutting bureaucracy. Mm-hmm. Never seen that before. We've seen other administrations talk about this, George W. Bush and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. There'd be lip service. There'd be talk about cutting waste and fraud and abuse, and it never went anywhere. And what we're seeing is a real concerted effort to cut bureaucracy. And that is why the freak out in Washington, D.C. is happening. And you do see people like this freak out isn't feigned. I think this is very legitimate. I think the people in D.C. are terrified. They've been used, for the last 50 years, they've been untouched. And what we're seeing now is actual, the civil service, is going to be cut. You have the flow of money has been interrupted, and you got a lot of panicked people in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you talk about panic from Washington, D.C. I tried to play this clip beforehand. We were having a little bit of challenges. Let me see if I've fixed it. But listen to this. These are bureaucrats who have lost their jobs, John. Let me make sure that it's working for our audience here. Hold on one second. I know you can hear it, John. They're not hearing it. I don't know why. Let's see. Hold on one second. John, give me like 30 seconds here. Can you? I'm just going to go to a quick little standby screen. Give me just a moment.
Gone overnight for Christina Dry in
People are really scared. People are really scared.
Johnny boy, their tears are delicious. Your take?
What she's describing is what happened. Everyone understands this process. Like we've all been there at a company where either you lose your job or someone loses their job or there's pending layoffs. When you lose your job, they escort you out of the building usually, or you know, you lose access to your computer. You got to go. Washington, D.C. seems to be the only place in America that is immune to layoffs. Like it's a place where where it just doesn't happen. I'm sorry, I don't like anybody losing their job. That's part of life. We lose jobs at times. Washington, D.C. does not get to be the exception, but they have been. They have been. The civil service has been untouchable for all these years. Now, if there's things like this going on, loyalty tests and so far, like nobody wants that, right? Like I don't. You wouldn't support that. I wouldn't support that. But there's also Scott Pelley is participating in the lie here that they've just been cut off. They're done. We know they got 8 months severance, or 8 months. Yeah, think of that. Who gets 8 months severance when you lose your job? This idea that they've been thrown out in the cold, it's simply not true. But 60 Minutes is participating in that lie, and you hate to see it, but this is where we are. Everything is narrative-driven journalism now. And 60 Minutes is probably the worst example I can think of, because they do very good work. They do high quality work. They sit down these in-depth interviews, but they have an aversion to telling the truth. It's like they're allergic to it. But yeah, this is what needs to happen. We knew it wasn't going to be pretty. I point back to Argentina. This is exactly what Javier Milei was facing, both before he was elected and when he came in to slash bureaucracy. It was the same hyperventilating in all the problems this was going to cause. And look at Argentina today. Inflation has been strangled. Their economy is growing again. And I got a piece coming out this week on this. Even poverty in Argentina now is down precipitously. That was the one that they kept citing poverty and like, oh, but poverty is going up. No, it's down. We have numbers from the last 6 months of the year. So all of these reforms, they're working, but nobody's talking about it. Like what you have are the special interests, the rent seekers that are squealing.
Yeah. And do you think, though, that this is why this is what they're saying on ABC? Listen to this.
Donald Trump's
turn up the volume.
Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around. Let me ask you, a recent poll by Marquette looked at several of the things that he has done or says that he is going to do, and 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes, 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally, 60% favor expanding oil and gas production, 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border. Is there anything you are seeing that Trump is doing that you are in favor of, that you think is the right thing?
Let me.
Yeah, John, more popular now than he was in his first term.
Hey, we see the numbers are up. Trump is doing things that people want done. I know Washington doesn't see it, but we're $37 trillion in debt, right? Like we need to start, we've been hearing it for decades. Oh, we need to start cutting government. We need to start cutting government. And it just keeps growing and growing in at faster rates. We're spending $1 trillion a year now just to service that debt. We need action. And that's why Trump's being allowed to come in and clean house a little bit. This is what needs to be done. This isn't all that needs to be done, by the way. This is just where it starts. Cutting the fraud, the waste, the abuse. That's where it starts. It needs to go further. You can't balance a budget by just cutting fraud, waste, and abuse. I know a lot of people think you can, or they want to believe you can. You can't. We're going to have to correct entitlements. There's a lot of work to be done. Trump's taking steps towards that now. He's also. I see some of his tweets about the law doesn't matter when you're president, when you're saving your country. That kind of stuff pisses me off. I wish he would stop saying things like that, because it makes it hard to defend the things he's doing when he speaks like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that quoting Napoleon isn't necessary. It may get a lot of likes and memes and reposts over online, but it does make it harder for us to defend the constitutionality and the legality of the other things that are going on. But do you think that it rises to this level, though, John? Listen to this.
Is a constitutional crisis.
Close to a constitutional crisis.
Causing a constitutional crisis.
A constitutional crisis.
A constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis. It means whole.
Constitutional crisis.
In a constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
A constitutional crisis.
A constitutional crisis.
A constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
Constitutional crisis.
We have a constitutional crisis.
As a constitutional crisis in this
Constitutional crisis.
Yeah, you can imagine the rest is more like that. It's like more and more and more and more of that. Does it rise to that level, perhaps, John?
My answer to that: we've been in a constitutional crisis for my entire life, right? Like the Constitution itself doesn't mean what it was intended to mean, what it was written. So what we have is a federal government that can do whatever it wants, so long as it wasn't expressly prohibited from doing that in the Bill of Rights. And that to me is a constitutional crisis. So yes, we're in a constitutional crisis now. We have been for a long time. I won't be lectured about this, though, by people who, when Biden was unilaterally canceling student debt and saying the Supreme Court stopped me, I don't care. None of these people were concerned then. Right? Like, why weren't they expressing concern about a constitutional crisis then? It's only when Trump's doing things, and I get it, this work with the courts is messy because you have all these judges, district judges, federal judges, low-level judges that are saying, oh, you can't do that, even when they're not acting in good faith. Some of these things we know the president can do, but they're trying to just slow him down and fight him at every step. And it makes it messy. You don't want presidents ignoring court orders. You don't want them so all of this, like the principal people that express concern on this, I get where they're coming from. This is not good. We never like to see a president thumbing his nose at a judge. I think back to Andrew Jackson. I believe it was Jackson who said, he passed his order, now let's see him enforce it. I'm paraphrasing, but judges can issue orders, but if you have an executive branch, a leader that decides, like, they're not going to, I don't like any of that stuff, but we're kind of in uncharted waters here. We see Trump and his White House heading in the right direction on a lot of things. Let's just hope that we can appeal these cases. And we're seeing when Trump does appeal, he's winning in most cases. But yeah, we need to do this legally.
Yeah, no, I agree. The problem, of course, is that in a post-constitutional world, in a world where, the law has not been followed for generation after generation after generation, and all of the laws are conflicting, people are like, well, obey the law. Well, it's like, which one? The one that contradicts this other law? So, I mean, it's like, oh, well, you don't get to pick and choose. You kind of have to pick and choose, right? So, I mean, there's this layer of moralizing that goes on when we talk about the Constitution, whether it's left or right. But if we truly are in a constitutional crisis and have been for decades, and if the problem of the laws is that they are so numerous that they contradict one another, then the only logical thing to say is we should follow the laws that go along with our point of view, which is to limit government, limit the bureaucracy and their controls over our lives, and we should ignore the laws which contradict those laws which do not advance individual liberty. That is a constitutional crisis for sure, John, but it is the problem of what is legal, what is moral, and what is constitutional. And what is legal is not always moral, and what is moral is not always what's constitutional. These three twain shall ne'er meet, perhaps. So, I mean, there's a lot of grandstanding from every side, whether it's libertarians, conservatives, Republicans, because whatever the action of the leader is that doesn't go along with the stated values of the person who holds them, then in that sense, they could say, oh, well, this is not constitutional. And they may be right, but then the only problem is that another aspect of the Constitution is contradictory. Now, Ayn Rand says that logic does not contradict itself, and I think I agree with that. I think the problem is that if we see two things that are in conflict with one another, two concepts, then one of them is not true. Logic does not contradict logic, right? 2 + 2 always equals 4. It never equals 5. So in this situation, John, it is us picking and choosing which laws to follow. It is us, because our duty should be to morality before the law. Everything Hitler did in Germany is legal, right? The law is immoral. So follow morality, not the law when the law is immoral. Just obeying orders doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, it reminds me of a quote from Tacitus, and he said, the more laws in a country, the more corrupt it is. And I think that's what we're seeing here. You're right. There's layers and layers of law. Every year we see 3-4 million words added to in federal law. Every single year, nobody knows what the law is anymore, and this doesn't serve anyone. Who does it serve? It serves the massive bureaucracy that we're trying to defeat. So that's why all of this is so complicated. But we're taking on bureaucracy for the first time. We really are serious about it. We're seeing Trump do it. That's why we're seeing this backlash. That's why we're hearing these terms like constitutional crisis. You're telling me the executive branch can't fire civil service? Like is that what you're actually telling me? If that's the case, all these elections are meaningless because the bureaucracy controls things, not the executive branch.
Yeah, we're speaking to John Miltimore. It's Mondays with Miltimore. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Please click the like button if you haven't already. And if today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show and you're having a good time and you'd like to join us again, our show's schedule is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. I'm Austin Peterson. This is John Miltimore. We like to kick off the week with a nice brainy discussion with our friend John. He always joins us Mondays at 8 a.m. Central Time pretty much, and we're grateful to have him. He works at the American Institute for Economic Research. He also has a Substack called The Take, which you're definitely going to want to check out, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that lately. John and I think over the years, we've always vibed. I've read his pieces for years and years, and I've always kind of used them to help me to form the basis, the underpinning of my own thoughts as well. So I thought it'd be nice to hear my own opinions read back to me in someone else's voice. So that's why John's here. Just kidding. I would totally get people on here who disagree with me, but the problem is that they're all gigantic pussies. And speaking of being gigantic pussies, listen to this. This is Clay Travis. He got audible gasps from the University of Chicago audience after he declared that men view Democrats as pussies. Listen to this.
Young men have not become much more conservative, at least according to Gallup, but they have become more Republican. So you have this interesting...
Wait, say that again. The men...
They have not identified as more conservative, but they are becoming more Republican. So from the Obama era, young men and young women were Democrats, right? For both elections, strong majorities of young men and young women voted for Barack Obama. And then you had a slow decline, right? This didn't happen in just one election. There's been a deterioration of Democratic identity among young men for over 10 years. And so
are you saying specifically they turn against Democrats?
I'm saying that they are more, yes, they are more Republican now, but not necessarily because they've shifted to the right on issues like climate change or abortion or same-sex marriage. They're still well to the left of their dads and grandfathers when it comes to that stuff. And so you have this really interesting situation where this group, again, looks on paper fairly liberal in a lot of ways. And in point of fact, you had 6 in 10 young men who are moderates vote for Trump, and more than 1 in 5 liberal young men vote for Trump, right? And so if we're going to look for explanations, we need to move beyond issues. We need to understand, like, there's something about Trump that was attractive, and then there's something about the Democratic Party, at least in its current manifestation, that was repellent.
I was really struck by you saying, especially that, even if they are more likely to identify as Republicans, they're still far more liberal than the men of generations before them. And I think that that's something that would surprise a lot of young women like myself to hear that. I was surprised.
So what is it that we're missing about, or what is it that people who are not, as Magdalene said, people who don't understand why? That's my first question. I have a second one, but go ahead.
Okay, so what I would start with is men aspire to be bigger, stronger, and faster than we are, almost universally. That's why superheroes are popular. That's why pro athletes are popular. Who is the most masculine Democrat right now in America? Mayor Pete.
Is that a gay joke?
No. Mayor Pete. No. Well, no, it's just that he's not particularly masculine. Nobody's like, oh, Mayor Pete, he's a badass. Chuck Schumer. Is anybody like, hey, Chuck Schumer holding up an avocado and a beer to talk about the Super Bowl? Is anybody like that trying to grill? Is anybody like, hey, that's a dude I want to hang out with?
But Trump's like a grandpa.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Trump took a bullet in his ear and immediately stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. Every man in America and most of the women out here were impressed by that, even if the women won't admit it. She's shaking her head strong. And second part of this, basically summing it up, Democrats for men are pussies and Republicans
Democrats for men
are pussies. There are no masculine men in the Democrat Party right now.
Is that what this is
Young
all
men
about?
have not.
Is that what this is all about, John? Sorry for such a long clip, but is that what it really does come down to here? Is that the Democrats are the party of weak, limp-wristed, effete liberals like Pete Buttigieg and Chuck Schumer, and that even if you're like more liberal, right? Maybe you're even libertarian on social issues, right? If you're more liberal as a young man, you just don't want to be associated with the Democratic Party because they are pussies.
I'm not going to lie. There is absolutely a component of that in the mindset of how people vote. If for people gasping over that, are you telling me that, you know, the party who says men get pregnant and men get periods, like there's some men out there that say, hey, what the hell is this? No, of course they do. And it doesn't need to be just men that respect the Constitution or and that don't fight over free speech. For a lot of men, like, this is just weird. And it is, whether you want to use the term effeminate or whatever you want it is, they don't want anything to do with that. And I think even Democrats, if you listen to James Carville, he's been saying this for 2, 3, 4 years now, saying like this wokeness taking over our party. Say what you will about James Carville, he's more of a man than all the people that were being described there by Clay Travis, right? Carville is he reminds me of a hard drinking, tobacco spitting guy. He doesn't beat around the bush. You know, I don't like his politics, but guess what? Carville would be a fun guy to have dinner with, I bet, because he's a straight shooter. Yeah,
he's a man.
Yep, and that's why he feels in his own party increasingly like there's no place for him there. So no, I think Clay Travis is absolutely onto something.
Yeah, it's in some weird ways, it's kind of the electoral battle of 2020-24 was a proxy war of the sexes. I mean, it was Trump versus Kamala, and the Democrats, they certainly think it's a war of the sexes, albeit in a different way, because at their meeting, the DNC meeting where they elected that David Hogg, another perfect example of a giant pussy, at that meeting, they asked their audience, do you think that the reason that Kamala Harris won is because of racism, sexism, and misogyny? And they all universally raised their hands. So 2024, in many ways, it was a proxy war of the sexes. We are in many ways, we're having a discussion about masculinity and femininity that is at the heart of these policies. I mean, it really is. The cultural war that's happening right now, front and center, is the conflict, the tension, the war of the sexes. Do you agree?
David Hogg is a good example of what you're talking about. David Hogg is not going to be some sort of masculine person who can lead Democrats and bring this, bring voters back. That's the opposite of what David Hogg is. He's a weak, kind of sniveling, politician through and through. I will say this: Biden was closer to what they wanted and needed to kind of keep that, because Biden, I was never a Biden fan, but at least the man spoke that language, right? And he was kind of looked at as somebody who could be a counterweight to Trump, because he just would speak what's on his mind. He'd challenge you to do push-ups. He'd tell you, he talked with all this bravado. So I think Biden did kind of shore up that vote for them a little bit, and then they went to Kamala Harris, and it was the opposite. Even though ideologically there probably wasn't a whole lot of difference between them, Kamala represented something very different.
I knew I was in the wrong political party way back in 2016 when the biggest scandal that I was involved in that they had me, the pearl clutching caucus of the Libertarian Party, which if you can believe it, there are a lot of pearl clutching libertarians, John, and you know the type that I'm talking about, who one of the biggest scandals for me was that Austin on a podcast had jokingly said pyramid piles of pussy, which I thought was funny. But the Gary Johnson people were like, he's disgusting, he's filthy. I was like, man, y'all are a bunch of pussies. All right, a Republican Party it is, sir. I'll take one ticket for the Republican Party. Where they have
this is kind of the world we live in. Like, there's certain words that are gonna, let's say it, like trigger people. That's a word. that is just, which is why I'm not surprised the audience gasped. And you can see like there's certain like words that you just got to avoid because we've empowered people, because their reaction to that word, it's going to crush you. It's going to cause. Now I will say something that is easing up a little bit. And I'm not trying to offend. I'm not a shock jock. Okay. That's not me. I'm not trying to ruffle feathers. I'm not trying to, that's your territory, Austin. I'm not looking to do that, but I will say it pisses me off that the vocabulary for words that offend just seem to keep expanding. Like all these, every year there's something else you couldn't say. We're starting to sort of go back, and people are starting to actually say again words that were taboo maybe 5 years ago, and I think that's good. Like all of this, fake outrage over stuff, I just don't have enough energy for it. Like there's real problems in the world, but we're going to be fainting over a little, a crude word here and there. I just don't have energy for it, so I'm glad that we're getting away from that.
We'll know that we really have freedom of speech when people could say the N-word without fear of violence happening in this country, right?
What I always said was, look, I don't want to, I have all kinds of friends who are black. I don't want to, hurt them. I don't look at them as any different than I would anyone else. But I said we never should have gave the word that power,
right?
Because it sort of opened up something that's very unhealthy when it's sacrilegious now to say that. Like that's really what it comes down to.
I do feel as if we are being able to start to say it without the hard R. So, for example, white people in public, if you're at a dance club and they go and it's Biggie Smalls, and if you don't know, now you know, nigga. Like I feel like you can get away with that without getting jumped and getting beaten up.
Or you can be Quentin Tarantino and just be making a movie, and whatever reason Quentin can use the word and nothing's there's never a problem. I think he is clever in how he does it, though.
I need to find a way to work that into my Battle of Athens documentary. Okay. Okay. Hey, John, this is so much fun, man. I could talk to you for hours and hours. The thing I like about you, John, is that not only can we talk about the nitty gritty, the spending cuts, the actual technical details of the policies, but I really feel like you get the bigger picture when it comes to what's happening in the undercurrent of politics. And while you were a little trepidatious about the incoming Trump administration, and I know that you pointed some of, you warned about some of the excesses, which I agree with, and certainly I'm not on board with like the tariffs and all that shit. But I feel as if America really is kind of on the upswing, right? What I'm seeing from my leaders mostly is overwhelmingly positive. Wouldn't you say? Do you feel like we're like sort of on the right track, at least headed in the right direction?
I'll say right track, and I will say this too. Most of the stuff that really drives me crazy about Trump is just stuff he's saying, right? Like if we're in a constitutional crisis, nobody thought it was the case when we had somebody arrested for praying outside of an abortion clinic, right? Like to me that's an actual person being arrested. Okay, we saw agents come into the home and arrest the man. The stuff that mostly concerns me about Trump is a tweet he did at like midnight, and I don't like it. But those are words, not actions. And yeah, I feel like we are on the right track. Can we take the Leviathan down? Can we actually, peel back bureaucracy, cut bureaucracy, do the things in Argentina that were so important? I hope we can.
I'd love to hear it. Hey, John, where can people read your Substack?
Hey, check it out. The Take by John Milton on Substack. I'm just about to hit 3,000 followers there. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's for a new platform. It's great to see my audiences just keeps growing every day.
It's really not about the size of the audience as much as it really is about how interactive, how much they click like and interact and go to your merch shop, or they write a comment underneath. Because, for example, I've got 187 people on Rumble this morning, right? So like people would say, oh, like nobody cares, nobody's watching. But we get a huge amount of comments, and the people who actually watch the show and interact here, they're very clicky. They comment, they like, they go to the shop, they buy merch. And so, if you got 100 people out of 3,000 who actually are interacting and doing it, then that's enough to really get a movement going and to get change, to make change happen, John. So
it is. I love it. And I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. More people read my Substack than a lot of websites. Like I read websites myself I go to, then they don't have, more than just my own audience reads it. So I'll just tell anybody in content creation, if you're not on Substack, I think you should be. I'm not getting paid to say it. I'm just saying that I'm getting more engagement on Substack than I do on Twitter, and it's not close. So to me, like that's kind of like the platform on the come. I love writing there. And so anybody that wants to check out my stuff there, I publish almost every day. So come take a look.
John, it's like someday you and I, maybe we need to have like our own show, just John and Austin. But for now, these little 30 minutes once a week so far. Get me through the week. It's a great way to start the week. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time, John. And you have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, it's a pleasure being with you every week, Austin. Take care, man.
Bye, John.
Elon Musk has apparently somehow convinced the United States government, specifically the United States Department of State, that the taxpayers of the United States of America should spend $400 million buying, quote, armored Tesla production units. Isn't it great and definitely not at all illegal or profoundly corrupt? Definitely not ripping us all off to pay themselves, right?
Donald Trump didn't give that contract to Elon Musk. Joe Biden gave it to him.
Boom, roasted. When this whole world starts getting you down and people are just too much for me to face, I go to For Liberty shop and browse the products there right into space. On the shop, it's peaceful as can be, and liberals who are here don't bother me. I keep telling you, type in forlibertyshop.com. You'll find a paradise or maybe a brew. At the DC Liberty Tour, it isn't free, but if you pay, you go, it won't bother me. Let's go on to DC, on to DC. The AP DC Liberty Tour, May 1st through the 3rd. Yes, I did just make that all up right there on the spot. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Click like. AP's DC Liberty Tour tours tickets are selling out, so get them here. Kids are free, but if it's you and me, then you got to pay the tour price like anybody else. But if you've got a monthly subscription to the show, you get a 20% discount, which I think is really generous. So why don't you go to forlibertyshop.com, meet me and the group. All of the fun kids are going to be in Washington, D.C., May 1st through the 3rd. Go to forlibertyshop.com. That's the number forlibertyshop.com, and join us in Washington, D.C. for a tour, a 3-day tour conducted by me, the AP DC Liberty Tour, May 1st through the 3rd. At night, the stars put on a show for free. Well, it's actually $500 a ticket, but kids are free. You can upgrade with an exclusive Liberty Tour merch package. We've had some people buy that and join a live recording of the Wake Up America show on Friday morning, May 2nd, and it's Revolutionary War Weekend in Mount Vernon on Saturday, guys. On Saturday, if you guys are with us, we're going to Mount Vernon. We're going to go see the reenactments of the Revolutionary War Weekend. Can you believe it? Bring your Gulf of America merch with you. And join us again. And book your tickets, guys, because once we sell out, they're gone, and I can't take any more people on the tour with me, okay? Let's have a little bit of fun. Do you guys remember this clip from last week? Here's me innocently recording a meeting from our elected representatives in public, and here is how your elected representatives think of people like your boy AP showing up to a public meeting and recording them.
Are you familiar with the numbers of those students who have been able to accept those ESA scholarships? Please do not place that video on any public servant, public anything. You can videotape me. We've already had a legal hearing, but I have my own personal ability to control my my person, and I do not want that on any social media service, on any public service, unless you are a verified news organization that has a license or a approval from this Senate, and I don't think you have that. And I am a lawyer, and I do like to sue, so do not use my image on anything public, not one thing. Not your Facebook, not your Twitter, X, whatever you have, unless you are a news media organization, you cannot.
Can you hear the hubbub, by the way? People are like, I'm just sitting there recording, just keeping recording.
Sorry.
Could you repeat the question, Senator?
I think we were talking about ESAs. So are we familiar with the numbers or the incomes of the students? You got about 6 seconds to videotape me, and then you got to stop. Your 6 seconds are up.
That was only 4 seconds, lady. Can't you count? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Hold on, everybody count me.
Students, You got about 6 seconds to videotape me, and then you got to stop.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5
Yeah,
Mississippi.
6 seconds
Oh,
up.
okay, it was like 5 seconds. Okay.
Stop videotaping me. Sir, stop videotaping me.
They were going to have to drag me.
Or we're going to ask you to leave.
They were going to have to drag me out of there.
Senator, as I think you asked me earlier about the number of students qualified.
So people are like, why did you keep recording? Why'd you keep recording? Because I didn't want them to. I didn't want you guys to think. Why did I post the rest of this video that's coming on now? Even though like there's nothing like really happening. I wanted you guys to see that I did not stop recording. Okay. See, here they are talking about, are they going to have me thrown out? Here's the security guard coming over. Are we going to have Austin thrown out, right? I wanted you guys to see it because I was going to let them drag me out of there. Don't tase me, bro. Don't tase me. So get this. So she's launching these verbal attacks on me, and I just kept my mouth shut, right? It's better to be thought a fool, keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt. Well, later, because I knew I was going to be able to open my mouth and prove myself to be a fool, and she called me a fool because just a few minutes after that, I got up to give my testimony about why Missouri should abolish its income tax. And I'd do that for you, baby. Some people talk a big game. Some people have podcasts, and some people do that, and they take it to the streets. Here's AP taking it to the streets. My name is Austin. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Austin Peterson. I risked life and limb to come here today. I didn't want to miss this opportunity. It was very dangerous. It was snowing like crazy that morning.
Thank goodness I had a 4x4 and I was able to make it in because I just wanted the opportunity to address my public servants. It's nice to see.
Can we address the fact that your collar looks like crap and you need to comb your hair, Austin? Who's taking care of you?
Up there, I'm glad that you're all here serving me and the interests of all good Missourians. Yeah, I've lived all over Missouri.
But did you notice there? So I started this discussion here because I thought I was just going to give a straightforward, explanation for why we should abolish the income tax. But then I felt the need to remind them that I don't work for them and that they are public servants. And boy, even the Republicans didn't like that. Listen to this.
Missed this opportunity. Thank goodness I had a 4x4 and I was able to make it in because I just wanted the opportunity to address my public servants. It's nice to see you up there. I'm glad that you're all here serving me and the interests of all good Missourians. I've lived all over Missouri. I was born in Independence, Missouri. I was raised on a horse farm in Peculiar. And I like to say that's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from a town called Liberty, which is what I'm all about and what I stand for.
Now, if you heard that, where would you guess that I was from? Okay. If you heard me explain that, would you be a little confused, but would you think, where is Austin from? And that'll be important later when the questioning starts.
And this box of coffee that you can see right here in front of you is Benjamin Franklin. This is Franklin's Electric Elixir. You can see here it says made in Jefferson City. So I'm a taxpayer in Missouri, and I'm here to talk to you.
Ask you please not promote anything or props in general. The way
sure. Well, I'm a business owner.
No promoting anything, no props in general, because they don't care about where the tax dollars actually come from. They don't want to hear that.
In Missouri, I pay taxes in Missouri. Right, I pay lots of taxes here in Missouri. I pay not just income taxes, right, and not just all the federal taxes.
Somebody said I look like Mr. Rogers with a few more rights and lefts, verbal rights and lefts.
But I have to pay, workers' taxes as well. I have to pay workers' comp. So I pay one of the higher tax rates here in the state of Missouri. So I'm speaking not just for myself, but I'm speaking for my economic interest in the future of Missouri as someone who has lived here for a number of years and plans to, just had our very first child here in the state of Missouri. And I hope to build a legacy for a greater Missouri for my family that I want to have live and grow up in Missouri just like I have. And I heard the arguments here earlier about, high tax states, low tax states, what states have done it, what states haven't done it. Tennessee's state, they don't have an income tax, but they have a higher sales tax. And I understand, that it's good to have precedent to look at and say, well, this state has done it, how have the results have been? But there are moral questions here. The question of whether or not an income tax itself is moral. Consider the question of whenever someone wants to pass a cigarette tax, a vice tax, they say, well, it will help to reduce smoking. Well, if cigarette taxes are supposed to reduce smoking, what are income taxes supposed to reduce people from doing? Just a straight question. I think that Missouri could stand out and be better than other states, better than Tennessee, better than Florida. Because I have been to Florida, and as beautiful as it is, my heart is always coming back to Missouri. I mean, I love to scuba dive, but you know where I got my license and certification? Right here in Missouri, in Rolla, in a dirty quarry, and I'm proud of it. And I've got the certificate on my desk right here in Jefferson City, Missouri. You know, I make my money, and I pay my taxes, and I'm having a family, and I'm invested in the future of this state. So maybe we don't necessarily have to compare ourselves to other states like Tennessee or Florida or others, and maybe there really isn't a comparison, but what is it that makes Missouri unique, and what can we do to stand apart from other states that we can lead the way? And I really love what the administration is doing on the federal side of things, and if Missouri is a net tax taker on the federal side, right, that needs to be changed. Maybe there needs to be a Department of Government Efficiency here in Missouri. The question isn't replacing one tax with another, but the question is, can we replace the income tax with nothing? Right? Do we need?
Yes. I'm such a little stinker.
Those social services? No, I don't want social services to be provided by the government at all. Listen, I don't.
You see that guy smiling back there? He is not happy with what I'm saying. He's like, what a joke. This guy's crazy.
Want anybody to be harmed by policies that could come out of the government, but I believe that far more people are harmed by the positive actions of government rather than the fact that they're not doing enough to help the orphans, to help the innocent children, to help people who are disabled on Medicare, on Medicaid. Right? Do I want those people to hurt? Absolutely not. But I don't think the government is the best tool to use to try and address societal concerns. And if there's a question about a social contract, you know, there are esoteric questions here as well. I mean, do I have a deep moral belief that the income tax is immoral? Yes. Is it constitutional on the federal level? Yeah, it is constitutional. Just because something's constitutional doesn't make it moral. Just because something's legal doesn't make it moral, as Martin Luther King said. He says everything Hitler did and
now,
everything.
Do you hear that? Aunt Jemima in the back. She's not happy that I'm citing Dr. Martin Luther King to her face. She was pissed about that. You can hear. I want you to hear this again when I cite Martin Luther King Jr. How this woman reacts. I mean, it's like when the Clay Travis said pussy in front of a bunch of Democrats, right? It's like, you know, you can hear the demons hiss and squeal.
Do I have a deep moral belief that the income tax is immoral? Yes. Is it constitutional on the federal level? Yeah, it is constitutional. Just because something's constitutional doesn't make it moral. Just because something's legal doesn't make it moral.
Here we go. Here comes the quote. Now, I want you to listen. I don't know if you can hear, but in the background, you can hear Senator Barbara Washington when I quote Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King said. He says everything Hitler did in Germany was legal.
No, listen, I'm not going to say these kinds of things in front of me here.
So I'm morally opposed to the idea of an income tax. There are plenty of good economic arguments against it. I believe taxation is theft. If I'm not an anarchist, then how can I say, oh, well, taxation is theft? Well, that means all taxation is theft. Well, what it does is it raises a high bar for you, our public servants, to be able to spend our money. It says, if you're going to steal the bread, if you're going to march the battlements and steal the bread, there better be a good excuse. You better be starving, essentially, if you're going to reach your hand into my pocket and take it. And, are there inconsistencies on these sometimes? Are there challenging logical questions at play? Certainly there are. But I want Missouri to be competitive. I want to grow a business here. I want to grow a family here. And I want the future of Missouri to be bright and beautiful. And we certainly don't want to be like New Jersey. I lived in New Jersey for 3 months. I got out of New Jersey as quickly.
She was bragging about how she went to how good the public schools were in Jersey compared to Missouri, which is why I talked about how, shit New Jersey is.
Possible. It is not a good place to raise a family. It is not a good place to take your children if you want them to be educated. So I think that this elitist mindset of, it's good in New Jersey, they've got a great education system. Well, yeah, because a lot of those people are feds, a lot of those people are government employees. It's like the people in Northern Virginia. These are people who, it's great if you're on the take.
Sir,
if you work for the taxpayer.
Can you please find a summary to try and wrap up and tie this up so we can continue?
Sure, absolutely.
Right. Normally they cut you off before. I'd been gone for 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Normally they cut you off. If you're kind of nasty, especially, they'll cut you off 2 or 3 minutes in. But I guess maybe it was because I was being so positive that they let me go.
My dreams are intertwined. My dreams and Missouri's future are intertwined. So I'll just say in conclusion, I want to see a place where children can thrive, where liberty can thrive, where we can flourish without the burden of excessive taxation, I think that if we abolish the income tax, we take a dramatic step towards this vision, and that Missouri will become a beacon of liberty. Missouri is and should always be what Texas dreams of being. Texas wishes it was Missouri. We are the red state that Texas claims they are. We should stay that way. I'm from Missouri first. Let's make Missouri great again, and let's abolish the income tax. Thank you very much.
All right.
Now, did you think they were just going to let me walk away? Thank you, guys, by the way. I'm glad you appreciate it. I'd do that for you.
Any questions for this witness?
Of course.
Senator Washington.
Hi, sir. Thank you for being here today. You said you live in Liberty?
No,
Now, did I say that I lived in Liberty or not? Or did I say I was a hop, skip, and a jump?
I live in Jefferson City now.
Okay, but you used to live in Liberty?
No, I lived in Peculiar, Independence,
Well, I heard you say
Springfield.
Liberty. So
I said a hop, skip, and a jump from Liberty because that's what I'm all about, ma'am.
Okay. How'd you get here today?
Very carefully and slowly with a 4x4 Ford F-150.
You used I-70?
No, ma'am. I'm from Jefferson. I live in Jefferson City.
No, I came in.
Did you use our
50.
state roads?
I came in back roads, I came in through the back
Did you
roads.
use people's private roads, or did you use
I did
roads
use
that are
private roads.
maintained by the state?
I did use private roads. Yeah. The demons inside her. She did not like this.
Where does that money come from?
I really did come in from a private road, and then, of course, I'm forced to go.
The private roads, because that's from me, but
there's no way to take private roads from. Well, you live here in Jeff City, but there's no way for you to have taken private roads to come here.
I would sell our public roads to
Sir,
Walt Disney
we
World
don't
in a
have a whole
heartbeat.
lot of time, so
Brought to you by Nestle.
Yeah, yeah.
So
your roads, sell them all. I say, privatize
sir,
them.
Did you take a public road to get here?
Unfortunately, yeah. If you put a gun to my head, I have to get here. I'm gonna.
Okay, how are those roads paid for, sir?
A gas tax that was just implemented by this legislature, 2 years ago?
And that gas tax, by the way, was imposed upon us by the legislature. She knows this. Where does the money for the roads come from? It came from that huge contentious debate that we had just a few years ago in this state, where they sent it to the voters, and the voters astoundingly, overwhelmingly, I believe 3 times rejected an increase in the gas tax. And then senators like her imposed it against the will of the voters. They imposed it on. So she's asking these questions. If she doesn't know the answers to these questions, why do I have to sit there and educate her?
For that?
General revenue, but I mean, it was coming, MoDOT was allocating the funds that was appropriated to them by the legislature.
Okay, and do you use water here in Jeff City?
What?
I mostly use private water, actually. I drink a lot of private water in Jefferson
What's
City.
private
we are
water?
connected to, Nestle.
I'm Native American, so
Nestle.
private water. So you use private.
I'm Native American? Excuse me? What is this Native American? Hold on a second, guys. Maybe instead of maybe we need to do a little genealogical research on Senator Barbara Washington.
Water take your bath?
Excuse me? Did I take a bath?
As much as possible, yeah.
So you take bottles of water, you boil them and take a bath?
We are connected to the
Why,
public.
why would you have to boil a bottled water to take a bath, Senator? And why are you so concerned about my bath water? Because you wouldn't have to boil it if it's on the city tap and it's like Flint. You might have to boil it, but if it's Nestle, then it's clean.
Yes or no? Do you take bottles of water and boil them to take a bath?
Well, we actually.
Yes
for
or
our
no?
daughters- For me, no. My daughter, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Taxation, a cruel invasion, liberty suffocation, a quiet abrasion, with our voices in unison, against the imposition, we stand, we demand, it's our solemn mission.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? It's Bath, AP. Welcome to the Wake Up America show, guys. I'm Austin Peterson, fighting for your liberty, damn it. So can you do us a favor? Can you bless me with something?
Bless me with something. Oh, God.
Money-wise. Drop some Rumble rants, guys, if you love seeing your AP for liberty out there fighting for your freedom on the front lines. Some people talk a big game. Some people talk into a microphone. And they do that for a living, but then when the time comes to get up there and face the dragons down, they cannot whip out their swords. When I whip out my sword, it's a giant Masamune to slay the dragon. It's our Final Fantasy adventure. Seiken no Densetsu. Arigato gozaimasu. Hi. So drop a Rumble rant, guys. Support the Wake Up America show. We're doing real activism over here. It's not just me. It's Liberty Tonight, and it's Culturama, and we're fighting the good fight. Support your fellow patriots. And as you exit the show today, exit through the Grift Shop. Yes, I know. You're sad. I know. It is... Sadly, time for us pretty much to go. So here's what I'm going to ask from you guys. Go to forlibertyshop.com. Go to forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. Do a little shopping, guys. Get some Gulf of America merch. I specifically recommend the, not the little thermoses, but what we call this is a thermos, but the 20-ounce skinny tumblers. They're super high quality. They'll keep your drinks cold. They'll keep your drinks warm. Go to forlibertyshop.com and join us in this epic quest for liberty. Your boy AP from here Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So if today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show and you ended up enjoying it, having a good time, and you want to come back here tomorrow, once you click the like button, click the follow button as well. Oh, Fook says, I'm wearing one of your tees right now. We'll buy more. Do it. Thank you. I have a really funny new shirt over at the shop. It says, I voted for Elon Musk, which I think is pretty funny. But we've also got lots of great Gulf of America shirts as well, sure to stir the heart of any freedom-loving American. Get those again at the Grift Shop as you exit on the way out. We'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow. Thank you so much. Glad you enjoyed the show. We'll see you right back again here tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American